Welcome to another episode of diaXpora. Today we have with us June, who is a senior research analyst at InvestorKit, who transitioned her career from being a landscape planner to research analytics. In this episode, we will be diving into the real estate trends, data analytics tools used in property research, and career transition and what it takes to be successful in this career. So welcome, June. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's my honor to be here.
Oh yeah, thank you. So we'll first talk about your journey, like how you came, what was your motivation to come to Australia, and and how things have been after coming here, your challenges, and what are the cultural shocks that you face over here. So we'll just like to explore that.
No problem. Yeah, that's a lot of questions. And long story. Let's see. I came here in 2017. That's more than 7 years ago. And I came because I was so tired of working overtime all the time when I was working in China as the landscape planner. That time, I think it was almost the peak of infrastructure development in China. And my company got a lot of projects from local governments to do, for example, park planning, urban renewal, rejuvenation projects, and I guess waterfronts, public space, regeneration, those type of projects. They were big, and they had a really tight time frame. I guess when your client was government, especially in China, they have really high standards. That was why I was always working overtime. It was normal to work till 9 or 10 p.m. Every day, and it was also normal to work over weekends. So after two years, I was.
And which year was this?
I was working there from 2014 to 2017, and in 2016 I decided to have a change. Perhaps have a gap year somewhere in New Zealand or Australia. I'll tell you more about why I wanted to come here. Or just to change my career path. The why. Why I really wanted to come here was because of two things mainly. One is Lord of the Rings. I love New Zealand because it was shot there. So it was my favorite countries at the time. And then the second reason was, at the time, I think the BBC documentary South Pacific was quite popular, and the movie Moana was also just on, and I was really attracted to South Pacific, this area, and I guess broadly South Hemisphere. New Zealand and Australia. Then I talked about this idea with my manager at the time, and he said, instead of a gap year, why don't you do another degree? He was top students in top uni. For him, it's natural to I guess pursue a different degree instead of just hanging around for a whole year. So I thought, maybe that's a good idea to start the new career. Then I decided to look for a program or a uni with development-related programs. It was because some of the projects we worked collaborating with consulting companies like CBRE. And I thought what they did was more technical and less based on guessing or just imagination, as what we did. So I thought it would be good to learn something about development, feasibility study, finance, perhaps economics, these types of knowledge. Development related. Then I looked at unis in New Zealand and unis in Australia and found this program, a 1.5-year program in UNSW Property Development, and applied. Somehow got admitted, and then in mid 2017 came here.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my journey before Australia.
Yeah, and were you into property research back in China as well? Or
Not really. That time I was entirely in planning and design in the landscape realm.
So what does a landscape planner exactly do?
It's a long time ago, but yeah, I didn't do much designing jobs like drawing. I guess what I did at the time was more around conceptions, new conceptions for a urban area to be renewed, and function planning, kind of for a certain site, which can it be in the future in this area, which can what a business. What businesses can be in this area, and so on. That type of thing.
Okay, interesting, and yeah, good to know. Like there were several motivations for you to come to Australia, but yeah, I guess Lord of the Rings stands out. Have you visited the Hobbit land?
Sorry, wait.
The Hobbit land.
No, yeah, that's unfortunate. I haven't. I've been here for 7.5 years, and I haven't been to New Zealand yet.
Yeah.
I guess once it's so close, it's you become lazy. I was thinking, yeah, I can go there anytime. So
yeah, true.
Yeah, that idea just keeps being delayed.
And now, so as you have worked in China and Australia, so how do you feel about the work culture and the skills required here, and how's the market? Is it competitive? Like, what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, it's definitely more competitive in China. There's much more work-life balance here than in China. That's one of the reasons why I decided to stay. Yeah, as I told you, worked overtime a lot in China. And I guess it's not just the design industry, it's almost every industry.
Yeah.
And here, it's not normal for you to work overtime all the time.
Sure.
I guess if you're really passionate about what you do, you can work a bit overtime, but it's not encouraged here.
Yes, that's 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best part of Australia's corporate life.
Yeah.
Like, it's not anywhere around anywhere across the world. Like, we have such a good work-life balance.
Yeah.
And yeah, people could have their family time, their own personal time. And also try their work. But yeah, and moving on, like, did your career working as a landscape planner helped you to transition into your current role as a research analyst?
I did use many skills I learned from the landscape planning. For example, data visualization. I guess having this background of designing, I naturally like visualizing things.
Yeah.
Like drawing charts, and putting everything on maps. That helped me a lot in making charts and mapping market heat in this current job. And then the other thing that really helped me was, I think, research skills. I learned a lot about researching and writing theses in my first master's degree in landscape, because that was a great uni with great professors. They've taught me a lot. So that helped me with my blog writing, report writing, and I guess market analysis now.
Okay. Wow,
that was
interesting. And when you say researching, like it just clicks and it just portrays a picture, like it contains a lot of reading, and we are going through a lot of papers and stuff. Like so, like how like what is your opinion? Like how should one or start with researching? Like if someone hates reading. Yeah.
uh,
It might be really hard for them to research about those things, yeah? Like, unless and until they're self-motivated and there's a drive.
personally, I'm not a fan of reading. In in my spare time, I don't really read it. But when it comes to work, if you're really into this area, if you really like your job, I think reading doesn't seem not enjoyable for me. So it's okay, totally okay for me to read reports and everything work related. But in my spare life, I just don't like reading too much. So it's more about passion, I guess.
One has to develop the passion for it, and that's the thing that drives you, keeps you different from others.
I think.
Yeah. So moving on, let's talk about the Australian property market.
Okay.
Yeah, and Sydney, as we know, is one of the hottest property market in the world. So is it still?
It is. I'm pretty sure it is. And I don't know how you define hot, but Sydney is one of the most chased after ones and one of the most unaffordable ones.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's definitely within top 10 or top 5 among all cities.
Yeah.
I guess people have this idea Sydney is hot because one, it's big. It's the biggest city in Australia and it's very livable, one of the most livable cities across the world. Yeah. And then being the did I say that? I mentioned that being the financial center of Australia. And it has a huge residential market and also has a huge commercial property market. I guess that's why people always think Sydney is super hot. But if we look at Australia, inside of Australia, now Sydney is not actually the hottest residential market because we all know, right? Perth, Brisbane, Adelaide, they are the top 3 hottest capital markets right now.
And is it because like the prices of the properties in Sydney are too high?
Too high, too much unaffordable, and with this high interest rate, it's really
people are diversifying to other cities.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And how things changed in the property market, like before COVID and after COVID?
Yeah, good question. Good question. To me, I think the differences are, I guess, 4 things. 4 main things. One is the interest rate.
Yeah.
Interest rate before COVID was low and lowering. I think over the decade from 2010 to 2020, interest rate, the cash rate was going downward. And since 2015, it was always below 2%. It was much easier at that time to borrow than now, 23 and 24. And after COVID, the interest rates kept growing from 0.1% to now 4.35.
Wow.
So borrowing has become harder than pre-COVID. I guess that's one thing. And the second thing is the rental market. I guess you're renting.
Yes, I'm renting. I can feel the difference when I first came to Australia and what I'm paying now. There has been a staggering growth.
Yeah.
And it's all over the city, not just any particular suburb.
Right. Before COVID, the high pressure benchmark was 2%, and many cities were well above 2%. I think even Sydney CBD and Melbourne CBD, because of all the apartments here. I think the the vacancy rate was 2 or 3% before COVID.
Yeah.
But COVID changed everything. People were chasing more space now because of I guess more people are working from home and they need dedicated working space.
Yeah.
And there's this surge of overseas migrants in 23. And yet all the factors led to this sharp decline in vacancy rate. And then the rental growth.
Okay.
That's the thing. That's the second thing, right? The third is about supply in the sales market, the overall housing supply. Before COVID, things were just balanced. There's a lot of construction going on for new houses, but during COVID, we know there's this disruption in supply chains for construction materials and labor, and construction costs surged a lot during COVID, and until even now it's not declining, it's just going up slower than before. So with this cost super high, you can see the construction projects or number of building approvals declined a lot compared to pre-COVID. And that led to a decline in total housing supply. And then that's the third. And the fourth is about regional markets. Before COVID, regional markets were a thing. People were investing in the regions, but it wasn't really widely known or really popular. And during COVID, there's this surge of internal migration from capital cities to regional cities, and really boosted housing demand in the regions, and as a result, boosted the housing markets there, and became so hot. And even now, after COVID, regional cities are still hot because one, they're affordable. Two, the rent, especially for investors, the rental yield or rental income is really much better than the capital cities. It's like the four differences.
So that's the 4 point. Like it's that impacted the Sydney property market is the interest rate increase, the rental increase, the cost of construction increased, and then moving to regional areas for affordability.
Right.
So what are the trends are we seeing now? Is it still in accordance with like people moving to regional to buy properties?
Yes, with the interest rates staying high, I guess in a few days we'll know whether it'll be going down or not.
And is it still a good time to buy a property, or should we just wait to interest rates to go down and then enter the property market?
No, it's still a good time, because to be honest, now banks are already lowering their interest rates even before cash rates starts to go down. Banks are starting to prepare themselves.
But it's always a good thing to enter the property as soon as possible because while you are waiting for the good timing, people who have bought are already enjoying the capital growth. So I guess the money you are saving won't be as big as the capital growth. True.
So the new trends now, overall trends are still quite similar to what we saw in 2024. Affordability is still something people all chase, and higher or healthy rental yields. And regional markets are still quite hot right now, especially Queensland, Central and North Queensland, and some Western Australia cities. And one thing, sorry, you might want to cut this part, but who knows? rental growth has slowed down a lot. Yeah, in 2023 and 4, I think double-digit growth was quite normal, but now the year into second half of 2024 and 2025, you can really see the rental growth is slowing down. I think it's
and is the trend happening across all cities in Australia? Or
yes, across all cities.
Wow.
I think it's because of the affordability ceiling. While rents are growing, salaries are not growing that fast.
Yeah.
So eventually, people can't afford that highest rental prices.
Yeah.
And then they would either go to the sales market to buy, or to, for example, move back to the family homes, or move back to group residence. So yeah, that also decreased the rental demand a bit.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool. And like you have been into the property research for a long period of time. Like you
3 years.
yeah.
3
Yeah.
4 years.
So you know all the nuances, all the niches. Like, what do you think? What are the common misconceptions like people have when they enter this market?
Yeah, that is, to be honest, myth busting is one big theme for big theme for my blogs.
Yeah, we'd love to know.
Yeah, I guess for here, I guess I can't talk too much about it, but I'll talk about 3 things. They're all about locations, because I think location. That's something people are always talking about, but there are actually misconceptions around locations.
Yeah.
The first misconception should be capital cities versus regional cities, or big cities versus small cities. Yeah, many people may think that growth only happens in the biggest cities. For example, Sydney, Melbourne, now Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, these cities. But in fact, smaller cities also see really great growth. For example, in the past, for this part, I may need to check some numbers, because I guess that'll be more convincing.
Yes, information backed by numbers is always better. It gives you more accurate.
Wait, how are you feeling so far?
Oh, I'm feeling good. Like, it's quite interesting to know about and all the paths that you mentioned, like especially the trends which people are moving to regional. Because I did reflect on that part, because recently I was looking at some numbers like data property prices, house prices across Sydney, and it's like nowadays no houses are below $1 million in Sydney. And I thought, if it's not in Sydney, how about the regional area? So I checked around the regional, and even the regional area trend follows. It's like no house prices are below $1 million.
That's like, they are compared to Sydney, almost everywhere. It's much more affordable.
Yeah, exactly. And moreover, like the suburbs which are so far away from city, for example, like Box Hill and Riverstone, like these places, like it's still developing, and like the access to amenities such as the transport and schools and everything is very low. It's very low, but still the property prices are so high.
To give you an example, Sydney, the biggest city, I guess, the city where people think property markets grow the best. Over the past 10 years, the annualized growth was 6.7%. So on average, property prices increased by 6.7% per year. But if we look at the average of regional New South Wales, the annualized growth was actually 7.2%. It's better than Sydney.
Wow.
And if we look at some individual cities or individual regional regions, I'll give you some examples. For example, Albury. Do you know where?
Albury. It's near New South Wales and Victoria border.
Yes, that is the city. The last 10-year annualized growth in Albury was 7.6. That is better than 6.7% in Sydney. And another New South Wales regional area is Shoalhaven in the south coast. Last 10-year annualized growth, 8.6%.
Wow.
That was, but I think for Shoalhaven, the most growth should have happened in the past 5 years during the COVID boom. But still, 8.6, it's quite impressive. And then if we go to a different state, for example, Queensland, Bundaberg, the city in central Queensland, the annualized growth over the past 10 years was 7%. Yeah, these are all surpassing Sydney. Naran, also southeast Queensland area, 8.4%. And then in South Australia, there is I'm pretty sure you know Barossa, where Barossa Valley is. In that area, the last 10-year growth was annualized growth, 7.1%. So all these regional areas, they are performing actually better than Sydney has.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, and Sydney is still around in the mid 6%, and all these suburbs are growing above 7%.
Yes.
Wow, interesting. And how about is the trend correlated with the rental yield as well?
Not really.
Yeah, because when it comes to regional property, a lot of people, like, if they are not buying it for their personal use, like for residential purposes, they'll be probably buying it for investment purposes. And the main issue with the investment property is like whether they would be able to find renters to rent the property. And like with regional, does it happen like the vacancy rates is always high than the cities?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's not really. Vacancy rate in the regions now is actually quite low. Many of the regions, they are saying below 0.5% vacancy rates. That is extremely low because the national average is now 1.2%. And in cities like Sydney and Melbourne, it was once, I think, below 1%, but now it's trending up to about 1%. But now in many of the regions, vacancy rates are still well below 1%. I'll give you some examples.
Yeah, always good to back up with examples.
Yes.
Yeah, and just for the audience to know, like, I'd like to define the terms, like as in vacancy rates, the 10-year analyzed growth, rental yields. Like while you're looking for the data, like, can you also explain what these terms means? And
yes, sure. For example, we can start with vacancy rates.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, just in case, our audience doesn't know what vacancy rates or any of these property terms mean, I will explain each of them. Starting from vacancy rate. Vacancy rate is the proportion of the vacant properties in the total rental properties in an area. And to define vacant property, I think different platforms may use different criteria, but in general, it's when a property is vacant for 3 weeks. For 3 weeks, it doesn't have any tenant, and then it'll be deemed as a vacant property, and it'll be counted in calculation of a vacancy rate. So before COVID, 2% was the high pressure benchmark. When a area has lower than 2% rental vacancy rate, this market is deemed as tight. But if you're higher than 2%, rental market pressure would be low, and rents would grow more slowly. And if you buy in that area, you may need to prepare for longer vacancy periods. But now, as vacancy rate nationwide has declined. I think 1% would be the new high pressure benchmark.
Wow. And yeah, and if it's over this benchmark, usually the property or that suburb is not very attractive to the investors.
Yes, because I guess you face more vacancy, and your rental growth won't be as good. But to be honest, the rental vacancy rate is only one of many metrics to look at. If the market overall is performing well, and for example, the capital growth is going well, the rental yield is high, I think a slightly higher vacancy rate is still okay. This is, I think, something you can see in West Melbourne. For example, the Werribee area, vacancy rate there is high. Not really high. It's just increasing, and now I think it's 1.6, 1.7%. If you only look at rental or vacancy periods, it's actually a bit disencouraging. But many people are still investing there because they believe in the overall performance of Melbourne. It's Melbourne. Melbourne is in an early stage of its new growth phase. So many people are betting on the future growth. And also in that area, houses are still much more affordable than the rest areas of Melbourne. So still there are investors buying there. So back to vacancy rates. I was about to give you examples. Albury, the city we just talked about, the vacancy rate there is now 0.56%. Much lower than Warburton.
Much lower than.
And it's actually declining. This time last year was not too much higher, 0.75, but now it's been gradually declining. And then there is the Barossa. We talked about Barossa, so Oh wait.
Yes. I was saying, like, in Albury, like, with such a low vacancy rate, and also the returns, the 10 years annualized returns is high. So it looks like a very attractive location.
If you have bought an Albury, I guess 5-6 years ago, or even longer than that, 14, 15, growth has been really good. And now vacancy rates is low, rental market is tight. So the overall its performance is really good. But now another thing you want to consider is its cycle position. Now, with this extremely good performance over the past decade, it's actually past the last fast growing phase. Now it's growing more slowly than before, than previous few years. And if you buy there now, the growth in the coming 1 or 2 years might not be really good, because it's kind of recovering after a really hot growth phase. But overall, the hot rental market plus the wait, let me think.
Take a time.
Am I talking too
that's fine. We can cut it out.
Let's talk. We have covered the good possible. I don't want to say too many bad things about Albury because it's still good market.
But
okay. Let me rephrase a bit the Albury. Now with the hot rental market and low vacancy rate, if we look at the local economy, it's actually still very resilient and strong. So all these factors, and migration towards Albury, or in general, Albury Odonga area is still quite strong. So all these factors already together, overall in the medium to long term, Albury will still be a good performer. So yeah, if you are, it's more about timing, I guess. If you are an investor who wants high short-term growth, Albury may not be your location. But if you're chasing long-term growth, Albury is still a very good, reliable market. Another vacancy rates example is Barossa. We also talked about it.
South Australia.
Yeah, South Australia. Now the vacancy rate is 0.4%. Very low. And also it's not increasing. Just 6 months ago, it was above 0.5, and now it is actually trending downwards. So in many regional cities, the vacancy rate is staying at this low level.
Yeah. And also, just for our audience, like we would also like to know what it means by rental yield.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And because we have talked so much about vacancy rates, so vacancy rates kind of favors rental yield. So what rental yield is?
Yeah, rental yield is the rental return rate. How we calculate it is to sum up your total rental income over a year, and divide that by your property value. There are several ways of looking at it. One is the market yield. We basically use the median rental price multiply by 52 or 50 weeks if you consider two weeks of vacancy. That's your total rental income over a year, and we divide that by the median house price of this region, and that's your market rental yield. But for investors, if you have already got a house, how you calculate your rental yield would be your current annual rental income divided by your purchase price, and we call that yield on purchase.
Okay.
So as your rental income grows, your yield on purchase would be growing as well.
Okay. Yeah. And moving on to property research and analysis, that's your domain for now. So, like, do you always wanted to work in the property research field, or it was just an unexpected path after you moved to Australia?
The direction was, I guess, consistent. As I studied property development, I wanted to get a job, also research related, or research and analysis related, in a developer or a consulting company. That's the initial goal. But when I looked for jobs, I didn't see many opportunities in developers and consulting companies, even there were some opportunities, but I couldn't get in. And somehow I saw two roles, research analyst roles, in very similar companies, two buyers agency companies. One is Dashdot, one is InvestorKit. I didn't get into Dashdot, but got into InvestorKit. And that's when I learned that in many buyers agencies, they do emphasize data analysis, and they do have opportunities like this. And working with InvestorKit, I thought, wait, let me think. How do I say it? That's too much to say. Fell in love with this strawberry. Cool. So working with InvestorKit, I found that residential markets, pressure analyzing, and just researching to decide which markets are worth buying in. That's actually interesting. That could be even better than the jobs in big consulting companies where you just look at a small sector of data, because I'm pretty sure their research departments, their research divisions are big with so many researchers, and what you do is to just look at one small section. I'm sure in big companies their research teams are huge, and what you do is to look at a small section of data, either residential, commercial, sales or lease. It's not as interesting as now what I'm doing, looking at national data of all aspects. That's I guess that's the difference between working for big corporates and small companies.
And with all the insights that you just gave about the regional and the city areas and how the vacancy rates and the rental yields, all the numbers. So for someone who is starting as a like a newbie in the property research, how do they get access to such reliable information? Like, is there any free or open source data from where they can access it?
Yeah, that's a question I like. One good there are actually free reports almost in every every sorry. There are actually free reports. Free reports from banks, institutions like CoLogic, and platforms like SQM Research. If you would like to see that raw data or trends, I think SQM Research is a very good platform. Have you used it?
No, actually. So far I have only relied on the data from the property sites called Domain Real Estate, and other than that, the data from Australian ABR? ABS, Australian Bureau of Statistics. So if you get the data from there, and but it's not quite insightful. And there's a lot of processing needed.
It's more about economy, demographics, and I think the property data there it's too broad. They do have a capital city versus rest of states house prices. And quarterly updated. It's one, not too updated, and two, the areas they are covering are too huge. It's not as precise. SQM Research, the one I mentioned is this website. We can maybe we can put this link in the show notes.
And as a property investor, not an investor, property researcher, you must be exposed to a lot of specialized tools and data sets which regular property researchers might not have access to. So like, would you like to talk about that? Like, what are those data? And
we buy raw data from Domain. Now they have this data branch called Domain Insight. And we purchase their raw data. That data set covers lots of things, from number of listings, sales volume, 20-year price trends across all capital cities, SA3 regions, suburbs. Both in-house markets and unit markets. And data markets, vendor discount, rental vacancy rates, rental yields. What else?
And all these data points, it's like they are paid, like not readily available. So
you're not really
everyone.
available.
Yeah.
You have to pay, you have to subscribe. But I think the good thing about them is that you can, they do have packages, basic packages, professional packages. But I think if you contact their account managers or sales people, they may be able to customize for you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So moving on, like we will be going towards the last section of this podcast. So we'll be talking about career advices for young professionals who want to get in this industry. So, yeah. Oh, just yeah. So if anyone who is entering this market, what networking platforms should they go for? Is there any events or is there any blogs where they can know about this or get to know more people in this space?
I think LinkedIn is the best one.
Yeah.
Just a few days ago, I was talking to a career advisor from a University Career Center.
Yeah.
About what subjects I should take as for the next term in this economics course I'm in. She was asking me, do you have any professional associations for property economists?
Yes.
And I thought, really, we didn't have.
Okay.
So it's the seminars, the events I follow, they are more about the economy, the overall economy, not just for properties. So I guess if you are interested in networking, LinkedIn is still the best place. You can search, for example, property economists, property analysts, or research analysts, and just send messages or requests for connections and any questions.
Yeah, and get to know more about them.
Yeah.
And like, if you have to give one advice for someone who is entering in this space, what would it be? Especially for young professionals, freshly graduated, or for immigrants who came here to study in this area, what would be your advice?
I think it would be to keep yourself updated to the Australian market news or trends.
Yeah.
It'll help a lot in your interviews if you are very familiar with what's happening around the market. I guess that'll increase your success rate.
So what's the
rate a lot?
What's the best advice you have received so far in this field?
In this field, the best advice, I think that could be it. I got that advice. The keeping yourself up to date, it could be the best advice I received. It's from a lecturer in my property development program. I liked his the subject he was teaching, feasibility study. It helped me a lot in my current work. And he was telling every one of us, subscribe to AFR and read the property section every day. And in that way, you will always know what's happening around Australia.
Yes, yeah. So just on a closing note, I would like to ask you a fun question. So, in like at the moment, if you have to buy a property in Sydney, which suburb would you go for?
That question, I don't want to buy investment properties. Is that okay? I don't want to invest in Sydney.
Yeah, but which location would you go for?
If I was to buy a property to live in, I would go for whichever suburb I love to live in. For now, it's postponed.
But if you have to pick one suburb, which one would it be?
Postponed.
Postponed.
Yeah, it's currently my favorite spot. It's got great bars and restaurants and very beautiful streets and quiet as well. So postponed.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you, June. Thank you for coming here and sharing your insights. It has been really great talking to you. Yeah, and if we'll be sharing your LinkedIn ID in the description,
Okay.
so that anyone who would like to connect with you, they can use the link. Yeah, and
Cool.
yeah, thanks for coming in.
No problem. My pleasure.
All right, thank you.
No problem.